Today I'm celebrating Pablo Picasso. And it's funny because celebrating artists is an unusual thing because there are so many artists for whom the vast majority of the public just see them as overrated hype surrounding a particular person. And yet Picasso has clearly carved a name for himself. Even though many people would accuse him of having stolen his inspirations, but I, as an artist myself, wonder how it would be possible to not be inspired by the things that we see and experience in this world. You know, of course, the produce of an artist, the things that they create, is going to reflect the things that they've ingested through their eyes and ears and mind. Now, Picasso I particularly love because of his path only laid itself before him because of the time that he lived in. Because he did develop, although we are mostly familiar with Picasso's work as being hugely abstract, and many people wonder if he could even paint, and yet he really could. He was a very good realist painter in his younger years, but he was growing up around the time of the advent of the camera. And it suddenly seemed to him a completely worthless exercise to be strenuously, arduously trying to recreate what one sees through one's eyes through realism, when cameras could do the job so much better, so much quicker, so much more effectively. And so he suddenly then had to turn his mind to what else could I do? What else can I as an artist say that a camera can't possibly reproduce? And I suppose this work had already been going on through the Impressionists, people like Monet and Manet that were using things like pointillism and soft focus images that alluded to a feeling and the sense of something. But this was then taken even further through Picasso and cubism, and where he then started, or had the idea to start trying to depict things from multiple angles at once. And this is the reason that Picasso's work has a nose pointing in one direction and an ear going in the other direction, because he was capturing his models from multiple angles at the same time, trying to get across the feeling that he was experiencing, the feelings that they were going through. And he worked extremely fast. He was incredibly prolific. He was an Aries, and therefore had this fire burning in himself to just create. He undoubtedly burnt people in his life. It's one of those things that seems to live alongside genius very often, is that it burns so hot that it can sometimes be too much for the people in immediate proximity to that person. And yet he clearly was dearly loved by so many people. It's a little known fact that during the German occupation of Paris and of France during the Second World War, Picasso retreated to a studio, or I say retreated, went to a studio and worked through that entire period in Paris underground, with people going to at great risk to their own personal safety, funneling art materials into his studio that was being operated underneath the nose of the Nazis. He was an enemy of the state already for his crazy ideas, but also because of the political stance he'd taken in some of his paintings and some of the things that he'd said. And I always have respect for people that are willing to stand up and speak regardless of the personal expense that they may encounter. So today I'm celebrating Pablo Picasso. I've known many people with his paintings in their houses, and at first I was quite skeptical as to how much I appreciated him, and the more that I've looked into it, the more I've loved it. It's fascinating also to see that he was one of the first people to start painting with light, something that people do now in such an incredible way, where they use slow exposures on cameras to be able to paint with light. And I mean, he would be absolutely fascinated, I think, to see the things that people are now doing with that technique that he helped to popularize way back when. So he was undoubtedly an inventor, an innovator. And one of the accusations that people have about Picasso is that he stole his appreciation from colour from a tribe that he encountered in Africa. I believe they're the Omo people, who absolutely love adorning themselves with the colourful minerals that they can find in their locality. And apparently some time there with them gave him this encouragement to just express oneself without any regard for whether it looks right or not to anybody else. Every day the Omo people, as I understand it, adorn themselves with different colours, and when you look at pictures of them, it's hard not to see where Picasso took so much of his inspiration from. But hey, he took something that was beautiful, that had this childlike appreciation of colour, and was able to express that and share it with so many people through his artwork. So today, I'm celebrating Pablo Picasso.